There you go. We're on the air.
We're on the air.
Welcome. On the air.
So
is there actually air involved?
I think it's interesting. The chat starts up before, so now it's probably recording. The chat, right?
Yes, I think so.
But everything before that is just slush.
There we go. Ooh, I see me there. I'm not dark. I'm light up there. What are you talking about? Complaining that I'm dark.
Well, that's before you turned your monitor on. You're sitting in the dark by yourself, you weirdo.
Yeah.
I'm in the dark.
You are in the dark, but you're always lit from the front. And I look like I'm on a set of like WKRP in Cincinnati.
You want them lit from behind?
Sculptor die. Hey.
Hey, Brandon. Oh, you got to type something.
Sculptor die. Welcome to the show. Metropolis, welcome to the show. Gaming with Rydog, welcome to the show. And that says hi, Mom. So I'm guessing Gaming with Rydog must be a relative.
I don't need to talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our son.
I mean to turn on the circulation in this house. This room is warm.
Token Canadian.
That's what he calls his air conditioner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have the air on.
Now that I'm all caught up. It's hotter than sin in this room. I'm going to turn on
pretty good here. I like to keep warm by the Omega race.
Well, we just had that big rainstorm, so I'll bet you if I open the window.
I open the windows too, but I'm worried it's going to be loud.
It's quieter now. These silly headphones.
Chris says, I call everyone Mom.
Oh, I see how they're popping up. Yeah. There's Brandon.
Metropolis said, no snow in Winnipeg today.
Gotta love it, your Nest thermostat. Just turn it on from your phone.
There we go.
I just use the computer.
That's true. I can do that.
Computer, set the AC to 69.
Computer, order 50 pounds of creamed corn.
That's why I wear headphones.
Brian is not wearing headphones.
I am.
No. Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to try to get Brian's Alexa to order cream corn, and we almost did it once. So
it's still on the shopping list.
Mm.
I'm just gradually going to get more and more sweaty as the night goes on.
Steve says, does everyone have pants on this show? I do not.
Listen, I'm wearing scrubs. They
shorts.
Shorts. Mine are even worse. They're
Shorts.
sweat shorts.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Did
Yeah.
you make those?
Well, I got them at a thrift store.
Oh, man. So somebody else sweated in them for you? Nice.
Jorts. They're called jorts.
Hey, this episode, I'm trying not to say nice after everything. I'm trying to like start nice. I overdid it last episode. There was at least 25 nices.
You know what's funny too is Brian likes to say neat.
Yeah.
Which is like, what decade are you from? That's like, neat.
That's a 70s-ish thing.
That's like a 1950s thing. Neato. Neat. Cool. Hey, boomer.
Yeah. Oh, man. You always have to throw down the hey boomer first. Or no, okay, the okay boomer.
Okay, boomer.
Before they can do it to you.
Okay, boomer.
Right.
What are they? See, nobody makes fun of Gen Xers. In fact, we get forgotten. There was a whole article about like voters, and it was on like CNN or something, and they went through all the generations and skipped Generation X, and there was like this like 10 or 11 years missing or something. It was very funny.
That would be us. Right.
Mark. Sweet.
See it?
The Canadian says, say sweet.
Freak.
We have to think of adjectives for tonight. You know, like radical.
Oh, how about I'll go mint. Oh, man, that's mint.
That's mint. I'll say rad. That's rad. It's totally rad.
I'll just look up. I'm going to pull up a webpage of 80s.
Radical. It's radical.
Positive inflections or whatever they're called.
It's logical.
Yes.
It's radical.
Right.
The logical
Scrubs
song
was canceled years ago. Scrubs was like the best hospital show.
That's like one of the only hospital shows I could watch because the rest make me want to like look up the disease that I have every time it comes on. Like I couldn't watch House.
Scrubs was like the most accurate.
Bet more accurate than St. Elsewhere?
Yeah.
What about ER?
Yeah. Scrubs was like by far the closest to what it's actually like in the hospital.
Oh, nice. Oh, damn it! I did it again.
Nice. Oh, that's like when I was doing Fantastic.
Light. There we go. More
That's
light.
Totally radical.
I'm illuminated.
Kicking.
What the? God dang. Oh, boy.
K-Rad.
You queued it up to the spot you wanted to. I got it. All right. What do you say we do an intro or something like that? Maybe like, let's hit it.
Mint.
Do this?
Mint.
Mint.
Wicked.
Wicked.
Mint. Trying.
Live from KOIR Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this is Arcade Radio.
Hello, Commander. Computer reporting.
Intruder alert, intruder alert. Beware, I live. Stimulating opponent.
Hello, and thanks for listening in from the Arcadosphere. This is Season 4, Episode 25 of the Arcade Radio Podcast. Today is Thursday, June 18th, 2020, and the time is approximately now 7:25 p.m. Central. I'm your host, Adam Rogers Nelson. I'm joined by my co-host, Mark, Time Runner Shields, and Paradise Arcade Shop proprietor and Little Red Corvette owner, Brian Thurston Howell Armitage III. And joining us tonight, longtime arcade community members, proprietors of the Canton, Ohio Classic Arcade, Rack It Up. One is a sculptor, but they're both partners, both in business and marriage. Please give a warm round of applause for our guest hosts, Dustin and Julie Myers. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
I'm glad to have you guys here. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened to your arcade in a bit, but let's get going. Mark, what have you been working on?
Today, I spent $9,000.
What the?
On a, yes, using a credit card I bought only for this purpose. I bought a Bill and Ted officially licensed phone booth from Cubicle.
Oh, you were talking about that last show, so you bought it this week.
Right, I did it. Yeah, well, they started going in production, and then every day they were like, "Hey, are you going to give us money?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." Just waiting for that credit card, and it finally showed up. So I pulled the trigger, and I swear, I hope that this is a good quality phone booth, but we'll see. You know, I'm going to do full review on it and everything like that. These booths are like for businesses that have like open areas, but you want to have privacy where somebody can have a meeting or take a phone call or make a lot of noise and not everybody hear it.
That's
so
cool.
We shall see.
Where are you going to put it? You're going to have to get rid of an arcade game to put it in a telephone booth.
I think I'm going to put it next to the Discs of Tron where the mousetrap is.
Weird.
Yes.
That's very weird.
So that's the big purchase for today. As far as Discs of Tron, I did get some bright, what am I trying to say? White black lights? I guess you just call them black lights.
Black light.
Thanks thank you for helping me, Adam, order those. They showed up. They looked like to be in good condition.
I bought 2 as well.
Nice.
One for my Tron. Whenever I decide to do that this summer.
Okay. I got some patio furniture coming in, and I'm going to bring Pong into the room and put it someplace. There's a lot of space over there. I rearranged the office, the junk that's in the office that you can't see because it's off camera. So now I think I can put at least one more game right there.
Cool.
Nice.
Man, it's just like, how many games do you have in the house now?
It's like 40 something.
Jeez. That's like
117. Yeah.
Is any room spared, or do you just put them wherever you can?
There's only in our exercise room. There's a Miss Pac cocktail and a Holosseum. You know, the giant Sega.
Yeah.
And that's all that I'm going to put in that room. And then our bedroom doesn't have anything in it.
That's good. That's good. You gotta have standards.
Floors.
Nothing's in the bathroom. You know, the attic doesn't have arcade games.
Yeah.
So. I have a Piranha shower curtain you could use in that bathroom.
Did you really buy that shower curtain?
Well, I didn't buy it, but it can be made.
See.
They're made to order. It's $50.
You can get your Arcade Radio bikini and stand in the shower with your Piranha shower curtain.
Yes. And your Paradise Arcade slippers.
I really want to see somebody in that Arcade Radio bikini.
I'll see what I can do.
You got to wait till Dolly gets on. She's pretty sure Dolly would buy the bikini.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
All right. So, Mark, you've been working on that. Brian, what have you been working on?
I ordered some fun stuff. I was having a lot of fun cleaning up my Space Invaders, getting it going. SMT Electronics Miles up there did the Space Invaders boards for myself, Dave Brennan, and like 7 other people. And so I got those installed, got it all cleaned up, and decided that after doing all that work, I was going to order the glass from Phoenix. And let me tell you, so the original was a plexi. The glass Phoenix did is amazing. It looks awesome.
I saw it. It looks great. We social distanced
up on that. Yeah. I've got to do the control panel over, but I think I'm going to do that myself. The original was plexi, and so I kind of have this idea of doing brushed aluminum and printing straight down to that. So I'm going to give it a shot with the printer we have. Did a run to the powder coater today, grabbed a pinball lock bar, and I had the top metal for a bunch of Neo Geo 2 slots powder coated red. So that should be fun.
Cool.
The guy asked what they're for. I said it's kind of like wearing fancy underwear. Star Trek is running, but without sound. So got to work on that. And then I dropped off the artwork for my Earth.
We're going to lose Brian. We're going to lose him.
Uh-oh.
Someone get the paddles. Stat.
Domo arigato.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Yeah, at first it was just that you were like lip syncing badly, and now it's just chop. Anyways,
am I back?
You're back. Gish.
Well, we'll give it a shot. I think the weather's killing some things here. So I ordered Earthshaker artwork 3 months ago from Pinball Decals EU.
Okay.
The first set got lost. No idea where that is. The second set arrived like 2 days ago, and it is beautiful. So that's going on Earthshaker any day now, which I'm super excited about.
Man,
that's about it.
Can almost read your screen right off your glasses. So, what I've been working on, I stopped over at Brian's shop. I had to drop off some more powder coating for Journey, which is probably the last bits that need to get done. But then I forgot to give him the mousetrap front parts again. So there's that. So I'm probably going to end up painting those so I can just get the mousetrap done. I'll have to try to match him to that wonderful, awesome finish, Brian. I don't know how that's going to work. So unless I suppose I could run him down there tomorrow. He's probably not even started on him.
Probably not.
Anyhow, I also picked up my 6100, which was rebuilt months ago. So thanks to Tom for that. Basically a beautifully unburned tube and a brand new rebuilt 6100 monitor for whatever I need to stick it in. So Star Wars or Tempest. Ah! Oh. Hey, it's a kid's show.
Sorry.
Wait, no, I did check the box. Not for children. So, if your children are, if your children don't want to hear bad words or lewd comments, then they shouldn't be listening to this show. All right, so that's here's something fun that I didn't. That's not really arcade related, but let me just show you anyway. So I didn't know about this, but a few months ago, I guess Hasbro decided they were gonna try to steal a bunch of money from Gen Xers, and you guys remember these Star Wars guys from when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this actually is a new package. They have Wave 1 and Wave 2 out, and they have remolded and are reselling the old figures exactly as they were, but in these retro-looking packages. Which I think is kind of dumb, because like if you're collecting, you're not going to want a ratty old card like this. Like, I mean, and I opened it up already. I'll show you.
That was so mint.
I know.
Oh.
So I had to get this thing, you know.
Yeah.
You remember this? I'm in Chatters. You guys had these, right?
Is that Darth Vader's head?
It's
Yep.
Darth Vader's head. But whose house is that at?
That's me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
So you have Luke Skywalker
Huh?
and Bespin gear.
Did you undress Luke Skywalker?
No. They have Lando Calrissian, Han Solo and Hoth gear, Leia and Hoth gear.
Oh man.
And Yoda with
gonna be
the orange snake. And his little cane is in here somewhere.
Oh, everybody disconnected from the show. Sorry.
Yep. And Boba Fett. You can't. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's exactly like they were. So, anyway, man, Mark, you just turned into Dan Reed. Like all of a sudden, you're Dan Reed.
Hey, we're all welcome to say when a segment is going long. So you've done it.
Oh, jeez. I didn't know the segment was going on. I thought you were just being mean to me.
No. Just.
I mean, have you listened to you during this segment? It's excruciating.
No.
By the way,
it's pretty awesome.
Julie and Dustin, welcome to the show. I realize you've been working on something specific. We're going to talk about later in the show, mainly that your arcade was robbed. But is there anything else you'd like to tell us you've been working on since that, or has that been the lion's share of your work?
Pretty much number one.
It's pretty much been it. Really. I mean, I've taken a break from sculpting. I do that also.
Yeah.
I make Halloween type things, masks and whatnot. So that's really been on the back burner, and it's been the main focus has been this arcade.
Yeah.
To get this up and running.
Well, that's really, we want to learn more about that. We've everybody in the chat has already heard about this. We've summarized it on the show on the page for the show. When we heard about it, we posted it. So, and one of our listeners, Billy 7, was very diligent in getting to several of the outlets on Facebook that are arcade related, and posted all about it as well. So, we're all behind you on this.
We want to thank everyone for that. It's been a real blessing to know that people, that the arcade community really cares, and it's rare to find people that reach out back to you and that show the love. It's amazing,
especially when they don't even know who you are, right?
I know. Right?
It's just amazing. I love that.
Right.
So we have a couple more segments before we get to the crux to the interview, but we're going to talk a little bit about the news.
Oh no!
But we're not going to do the news. We're going to do Brian's segment first, because apparently he's very upset about the order of the tabs. So
I always felt that the true stars at Atari was engineering.
Oh, you're an inventor.
Yes, I am.
What have you invented?
A lot of things.
Like?
Like a lot of things. Like things that you've heard of.
Like?
Well, things that you will have heard of, okay? Patents are pending.
Arcade gadgets with Brian McLeod.
Do we lose Brian?
He's talking with mute on, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, it's muted.
Oh, I muted it so that I didn't have the thunder coming in. That's awesome. Let me have another glass of scotch. So,
right.
anyways.
Scotch.
He missed his cue for the first time, and he wasn't fighting with me, so I'm like, what happened?
So happy.
So, the big announcement that I was going to make, there really aren't a lot of gadgets since the last week we did this, but the one thing we did test that I thought people would be very curious about, U5000, U2000, 7500, 7400 Wells monitors tend to have problems with the neck boards where the transistors would get very hot and burn off the traces in the back. And so this causes huge problems in repairing those monitors. They would break down all the time. The Wells actually replaced the original little fins on the transistors with these larger aluminum ones, which worked better. But we took the board, redid them, and we actually redesigned the cooling side of the board, and we're adding an actual heat sink and moving the resistors and transistors to the edge of the board and doing some active cooling. So first fired it up this week. Everything worked great. Now we're doing the cooling modification on that board and hopefully going to test it up, and those will get out soon. So.
Cool. Now it's over to me. Is that it?
Well, you guys usually say something, so I can keep going on this if you want. But so the thing about this neck board that's actually different is if you look at it, it's one of the few chassis that if you look at Arcade Cup's site, they actually charge to fix the charge to fix the neck board different than the chassis. Like that's how much of a problem these neck boards have been. So, anyways,
nice.
That can be it. You can take over.
Mint. Totally radical.
The guys in the shop are wicked smart.
It's the Arcade News with Adam Stevens.
Whoever that guy is. Oh, you remember that background music from?
It's nice.
Years and years ago. What? Did somebody hear something? Anyway, so what I was going to say is there's a couple of news articles today. Maybe the biggest piece of news is Billy Mitchell released a statement today. Right?
Did he?
I think so.
I've been heads down. Tell me about this.
Well, it's not in the news articles.
Did it happen today?
It happened today.
So
yesterday.
Guinness World Records announced that they reviewed all of the evidence.
Oh, no. That's not what happened. Guinness did not announce anything.
They did.
They did not.
It's on their website. Guinness World Records put up an official finding that they reviewed the records.
Oh, I actually talked to Billy, and he said they hadn't done that yet, and that he released a statement.
Today.
Okay.
Yeah, they did today.
Interesting. Yeah, so I got off the phone.
Up there.
Well, go ahead.
So Guinness World Records reviewed the evidence and decided that I think it's the score in like 80-something in 2010 were valid, and they were reversing the previous decision of April in 2018 to remove his high scores in world records, and they're reinstating them.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so along with that, Billy released a statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he said today, his official statement says, Guinness World Records investigation results in full reinstatement. After its own fair and unbiased investigation, Guinness World Records has announced the reinstatement of my Pac-Man and Donkey Kong records effective immediately. Guinness World Records released its official statement There you go, right there, to its website at GuinnessWorldRecords.com, along with numerous videos across its social media platforms. Guinness World Records also expressly recognizes me as the first kill screen player and the first million-point player in Donkey Kong history. I respectfully thank Guinness World Records for its professionalism and truthful due diligence, and of course, the reinstatement of my records. Please see my official video statement on either Twitch or YouTube at 3 p.m. Eastern today, located at twitch.tv/Billy_Mitchell. So if you want to look at that, that was released today. And it's interesting to me because Guinness is not a small organization. You know? So they must have put a bit of time and effort into this to figure out everything. And I know he released that package about 6 months ago or so.
I will say, though, that they were, in reading the Guinness statement, they were very specific about those two events.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that because there's a lot of discussion about a lot of the stuff that happened, but like they were these two events and dates are what we're reinstating. And so I'm sure we'll get some people commenting on, well, what about this one and what about this one? And
the thing is that those were the only two that were removed from the Guinness book. Yeah. So the other question is, reinstatement of his scores to Twin Galaxies, for example. But I have it on the down low that Twin Galaxies, well, I don't really know. So, but we should maybe get him on the show. You know, maybe we should just call him up and see if he'll answer the phone. But not now. Maybe for the 100th episode. By the way, you guys, Dustin and Julie, you are on the 99th episode of our show. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're very happy to have you here on this.
I'm happy to be here.
And regardless of the situation, we're going to make it a fun night for everybody. So, anyway, you guys, Dustin, Julie, what do you think about that? What do you think about the Guinness giving back his Pac-Man scores and Donkey Kong scores and all that?
I'm not really sure what to say about it. I don't know what I feel about that.
Right.
Really.
Well, there's been a lot of evidence, right? So it's hard to sift through that. But one of the Mark, I think you and I talked about this a little bit, and a lot of the evidence that was submitted against Billy was taken from the King of Kong. Is that right?
Correct.
And so they're making a movie, right, Mark? You go ahead.
Right. So those guys made a movie, and they needed something to use visually to show what Billy's gameplay looked like, right? So they made a prop to represent it in the movie. That's all there is. Talk to the filmmakers. Whenever Billy says, and I don't know why this is kind of stupid, he goes, this stuff is for entertainment purposes only. But he's referring to the prop tape that represents the gameplay. Right?
Yeah. Well, and then they mocked up the Twin Galaxies website for the show.
That wasn't real?
Yeah. So,
correct.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. Now, admittedly, when we heard the evidence, the initial evidence, we were like, yeah, he probably did it. But, you know.
Right, because we don't know anything about, I mean, somebody has a tape.
Right.
That is very obviously not from a video game, from MAME.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's the source of the tape? Who made this tape? How was the tape made? Did we know any of that, really?
Yeah.
How did they get the tape?
Yeah. But it's interesting news regardless. So there you have it. The other piece of news I was going to share with you today is that last Saturday, an arcade called Rack It Up was robbed. And we have the guests here on our show today. And we have the proprietors on the show today as guests. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to get into a little more depth of that. We're also going to talk to them about the hobby and about some fun things and you know, try to keep it light, like I said, 3 or 4 times already. And, but you guys, why don't we just kick off with a couple of questions? Well, go ahead, Mark.
Don't forget before you leave the news segment that the Stern news is kind of goes over into the next segment.
Oh, The Stern the Stern pinball news.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
From PR Newswire, Stern Pinball. Incendium announces first official heavy metal pinball machine. So Stern, you might have heard of this company. They make pinball machines. So apparently, there's a lot of garbage in this article.
This is a PR release. You could read this word for word.
Oh, okay. I want to, but I don't want to because it looks very wordy. So the Heavy Metal Pinball Machine commemorates the 300th issue of Heavy Metal. Everyone remember the Heavy Metal comic? So this is based on that, which has been running since 1977 and inspired the 1981 animated movie of the same name. So there's a brand new Heavy Metal Stern Pinball Machine coming out. And actually that kind of interests me. I actually had the comic book based on the movie. Which is weird because it's a movie based on a comic book, isn't it?
Yeah. Where is that? Do you still have it?
I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, I have a box of comics from a gazillion years ago, but I'm pretty sure I Shinders that bad boy.
Oh, man. What's Shinders?
That was a local comic shop chain here that ran for 20 years and then shut down.
Mm.
Yeah. There was like 6 of them around town, and then 3, and then 2, and then none. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, It's a sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and actually, Dustin, have you heard of this?
I have not.
If you were going to buy a pinball machine, would you buy a Heavy Metal?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, it has everything, right?
Yeah.
Kind of plays into your. I'm really interested to find out more of those scary masks you make. They're really scary, by the way.
Thank you.
You're quite an accomplished sculptor, and apparently there are other sculptors in the chat.
There is. Yeah, I know for a fact Brandon Scott Murphy from Sculptor Die. He's in the chat currently. He's
Sculptor
amazing.
Die.
Amazing artist. He's
That's
really
a great
awesome at what he does.
So, yeah, I'm going to jump the gun here, but yeah, I've got lots of questions about that. We got lots of questions about your arcade. Let's get to the next segment so we can get into the interview as soon as possible. Did Brian fall asleep yet?
No, he's doing good.
Okay. It's not like I ever fall asleep on the show.
Back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Back to the cave with Time Runner.
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Welcome to Back to the Cade. While Brian goes potty, we're going to discuss heavy metal is in the air, and so let's talk about Beavis and
here.
Oh man, he's doing it in a mug, or what's happening?
Oh, no,
I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Let me just imagine. Okay. Beavis and Butthead creator Michael Judge did not realize. There it is. He was predicting the future when he placed his twisted progeny in front of the TV to pick holes in everyone from Pantera to Faith No More. They are the original trolls, successors that have taken to the internet in droves. So in this NES adventure, our beloved morons set out to recover their lost Gwar tickets. Has anybody been to a Gwar concert? Anybody?
No.
No? Is that... I don't even know what Gwar means. Anyway, losing your Gwar tickets is a tragedy which all fans of alien penis monsters can identify with. What does that mean? I'm just reading this.
It sounds like you're reading it.
Reviews at the time stated that the game does not suck, but doesn't rule either.
It's terrible.
Which now, I know, right? Thanks. Well, it's an NES game, and I thought that at the beginning, Beavis and Butthead are sitting on a couch, but they're not actually talking. They just communicate with grunts. Have you ever played it?
I've never played the game, but I'm going to after the show.
Okay, good.
I have the ROM. I'm sure I have the ROM somewhere.
What's in the juke?
You want to hear what's in the juke?
Yeah, why not?
I'm still watching the. I gotta put this in the chat.
Has anybody seen the video game?
I don't know.
What's in the juke?
Welcome to What's in the Juke.
What is What's in the Juke?
Well, we play 10 songs.
10?
These songs today will have a heavy metal sort of vibe. Right?
Mm-hmm. Radical.
If you can guess the song's title, you get a half point.
Half point.
If you can guess the artist of the song, you'll also get
full
a half
point.
Oops.
Guess them together and you
half
get
point.
Oh.
Full point.
You get it. Little loose on the soundboard. But that's all right. That's if you fight it out and don't know the name of the song. You will recognize these songs for sure. Mr. Peabody says, I love metal music. Well, good.
All right. So we're going to cue up the jukebox and play a few hits here. I think every one of these, except for one, is...
one of them's a little deep cut.
Yeah, one of them's a deep cut, but we'll see if we can get it. If not, we'll play another one. Okay, here comes your first track.
Nice.
Well, that's all you get for that. I mean, that's you don't get this, and you just don't get it. It is the Scorpions. That's Steve Taki, and it's "Rock You Like a Hurricane," Andy Baldwin, and that's half point for both of you boys. Good job.
Half point.
All right. Then the next track. Oh, here we go. I don't know if these are in the exact order, but anyway.
Yeah, it's close enough.
All right.
There you go.
All right. It is Round and Round. It is Rat. Rat was Steve Taki. Round and Round was Steve Taki. He's on the board with another point there. Right?
Good job, Steve Taki.
Full point.
The lead.
He's taking the lead. All right. Here comes your next track. I'm going to have to play a different part of this song.
Right. Smart.
Yeah, because this is... Yeah.
Starts off.
Yeah, let's try this right about here. There you go.
Ah, I did it again.
Nice. Radical. Mint.
I just can't say mint. It doesn't give me any good feelings when I say it.
Try
mint.
Try terrific.
Got it again.
Fantastic. It's not Def Leppard. It is Def Leppard. I'm just kidding.
Oh, it is.
It's not Fed Leppard. Who did Fed Leppard?
Scott Lambert got Def Eppard.
Okay, we'll give it to Scott Lambert for a half point. And the next one was Sour Some Sugar on Me. That's close. It's kind of gross, actually.
Andy Baldwin.
Yeah. Andy Baldwin with a half point. And a half point to that other gentleman. All right, here comes the next track. That's 1 second of that song.
Oh.
1 second.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. And here they come in the chat. And who is it? It is Steve Taki. Check that out. Panama
by Van Halen.
All right. Tell us where we're at in this game right now.
Steve Cocky. Oh.
Steve Cocky.
Steve Taki. Hey, cocky is not a dirty word if you're like
half point.
If you're flexing. Steve Taki, I apologize. Clearly in the lead with 2.5 points. Andy Baldwin with 1. What's so funny? I need a better word. And then Scott Lambert in
Mint.
Pure third place. Mint.
You gotta say. You gotta give it an extra syllable.
Abrams?
What?
Isn't there a J.J. Abrams movie where some kid said mint all through the movie? God, I'm thinking.
Super 8.
I'm asking everybody in the chat.
Oh. All right, here comes your next track. That's going to be a tougher one, I think. But yes. I like that song. That's a good song. It's not Knight Rider. It is not Poison. It's not Motley Crue. It is not Ferris Bueller Says Mint.
Oh, Scott Lambert.
Mr. Peabody, Rockin' America, and it is Night Ranger. Yep. Someone is speech to text stuff there didn't work.
Scott Lambert got Night Ranger.
Who's Scott Lambert? He's new. He's just lighting up the chat tonight.
He's killing it.
Yeah. Check it out. This is a half point.
Who got the title?
Mr. Peabody?
Okay.
Rockin' America? Yeah. I think you got that. You can still rock in America. All right, here comes your next track. Now, we will get banned for that song if I play any more of it. Guaranteed. Right. Because I've been... Motley Crue, man, they do not like...
good job.
Well, somebody already got it. Steve Taki got it.
Did he?
Yep.
Oh
Motley Crue.
Everybody's loving it. It's going so fast.
I know. Motley Crue is Steve Taki. Dr. Feelgood was Steve Taki. So full point. I mean, what if his name is Takei?
I see Dr. Feelgood from Mr. Peabody first, I think.
Did you?
Yeah, right after Scott Lambert.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Mr.
Oh,
Peabody.
yeah. That's my Minnesotans coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Motley Crue, Steve Taki. Got it.
I love the beginning of that song so much. Okay, here goes the next
Get that, Ryan.
I don't think this one's anyone's gonna get it. We'll see.
Oh, you suck. Gee, Will.
Well, I mean, they might get the song now.
Is that how it starts? I didn't know.
It is. That's how it starts.
See, he literally says the name of the song every time any of his songs start. Like, just try me. Go to any other Twisted Sister song.
They were just giving away Twisted Sister.
Well, they already guessed it. So.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
Mr. Peabody, Twisted Sister.
Okay, you got it. What song is I Am by Twisted Sister? Okay, here comes it up. This one is also a little deeper cut. Here we go. Okay, this is going to be hard to... I don't know.
There's only one band that uses that kind of sound. Yeah, see, Taki got it.
Rush.
Casey got it.
Subdivisions. Casey, big money. No whammies. Stop. Thunder Rolls, Garth Brooks. Who's being funny, Yo Eddie? Who's being funny? The Gleek is in the house. Okay. All right.
Steve Taki almost got Subdivisions, but it looks like Sub-Disco Decenas.
Well, I know.
I'm just going to give it to him.
Sure, why not? Give him a quarter point. All right. Yeah, we should start giving quarter point for misspellings.
Okay. He's still in first place, so it won't matter.
Yeah.
What else we got?
All right. Oh, this one I got to play a little. Yeah, there we go.
Done.
And if you name the guitar player, we'll give you another half point.
Oh.
That's it.
Yep, Mr. Peabody with Guns N' Roses. And looks like Andy Ballman with Welcome to the Jungle.
Jungle.
It's a baby.
It's a baby.
It's a real baby.
Who got Slash first, Mr. Peabody?
Oh, God, you're my baby.
The show just got weird. Really weird.
Yep, Mr. Peabody got Slash as well. Well, that's the first time we've had a flying baby on the show.
Yeah, so everybody is in the next room, like, watching the show, right? So baby just came in, and you could hear mom in the other room laughing at the... Yeah, exactly. There we go.
That's funny. All right, we swapped out this last one. We're going to play a specific part of it. So I'm sure people will be familiar with this as well.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, it's... And actually, our guest can play this very piece of music, and has on. I probably.
That's a good part to.
Yeah, that's the solo part. Dustin can play that on his guitar. Right, Dustin?
Mr. Peabody got Europe.
I can.
That's pretty sweet. You got to tell us that story after this.
One of the funniest commercials in the last couple of years with that song.
Oh, you know what?
Commercial with the burrito. That was awesome.
By the way, we have prizes tonight, and they are Mold-A-Ramas in primary colors. Dinosaurs.
Looks like Mr. Peabody, you got both. Europe, final countdown.
All right, let's rack it up.
According to the official chat tally. Let's rack them up. In third place, Andy Baldwin with 1.5 points.
He gets a yellow Stegosaurus.
Yellow Stegosaurus.
Yellow dinosaur.
Yellow Stega.
Yellow dinosaur.
Got it. Then Mr. Peabody in a clear third place, literally a hair behind.
Wait a minute,
first.
I thought you said Andy was in third place.
No, I haven't said the name yet. Literally in second place is Mr. Peabody.
Mr. Peabody gets Triceratops.
Triceratops.
I think these are pretty rare. This one is from Field Kubel's. I need my glasses.
Field of Dreams.
This one is from Billy Seven's Mold-A-Rama machine. And this
number one, Steve Taki.
Steve Taki, you get the red Tyrannosaurus Rex. The T-Rex. This guy's pretty sweet. This is from a Chicago something Field Museum. Chicago. Yep. And it says Tyrannosaurus Rex on it. I think it does anyway. I can't really see it. So, yay to our winners. Good job and such. Do we have a phone call?
I think there's a regular voicemail for you.
A regular old voicemail? So I got to go to the voicemail?
A classic.
Oh. So I don't go to the thing? Okay.
No, not to the special place.
I'll go to the special place. Not the special answering machine.
Yeah, right. The Panasonic.
This is on Google Voice. Oh, goodness gracious me. Oh, are you sure? Oh, it says, oh. The problem with this sometimes is, yeah. Yeah, oh, I have 39 unlistened to messages. Oh, wait.
What?
Yeah. All right, here, we'll play this one.
Hi, RcadeRadio. This is Farmer, Tim Farmer again. Remember, I'm a farmer, but my last name is also Farmer. Please don't be mad at me for that. I heard you guys have some guests who were burgled recently. I hate burglars. Well, except the Hamburglar. He's fake. I know that now. Anyway, I have some suggestions to punish them arcade thieves. My list of punishments is secret, though. Patents are pending, just like your Gizmo segment. So stay in touch and don't forget, I love to get star 69. It's the best way to get in touch with me. I'm not mad that you haven't star 69 me yet. There's always tomorrow. Talk to you fellas next time.
But it said Farmer Tim?
Tim Farmer, the farmer.
Tim Farmer, Farmer Tim. Yeah, so he's a new character of the show. We have like 3 characters now. We have the sheriff, we have Tim Farmer, and Bob.
Just waiting for the sheriff to arrest the farmer.
Star 6.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So, what's that? What'd you say? There was one?
She was just talking to Dustin.
It's private. It's a private conversation. Listen,
Star
honey.
69.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
It's called Return.
It's a kid's show.
I remember it from like the 80s.
Didn't we like block our calls on our landlines with that? Is that what that was?
That was Star 60, I think.
Star 67.
Oh, 67, good one. Star 69 was call return. Like if somebody called you and hung up,
was it?
you could
call them back.
Okay.
Right.
Star 67 still works. Star 67 still works on cell phones. We use that when we call patients.
If you didn't have a touch tone phone, you could dial 1169 on a Pulse phone, and then it would do the same thing.
Ah.
I still have Pulse phones.
I have one. I have a rotary dial phone in my kitchen.
It still works?
Yeah, but you can't dial out on it.
Oh.
I can pick up the phone though.
Does it still work? Yeah, you just can't dial.
Now, I did buy a PBX that I wanted to get hooked up that will allow me to dial out. But then I have to dial 9. So can you imagine, like, oh, man. It was bad enough to have to dial a 7-digit number. But now you have to dial a 10-digit number.
10-digit number.
Plus, if I have the PBX, you have to dial 9 before every number. So it's like one of the worst numbers. Because you got to go.
I'm going to see if I can.
Like.
I'm gonna change my phone to as many 9s as possible. Will never call me.
Dustin and Julie, do your kids even know how to use a rotary dial phone?
They would have no idea.
No.
Like, I mean, they'd figure it out. They're smart kids, but they'd probably like, what is that?
Are these optical? Do you
They
push
still
them?
don't understand how we had the kitchen phone attached to the wall with a super long cord. That just still doesn't register with them.
Awesome.
You know, with the really long cord, so you can walk around the house.
Oh yeah. There's a couple of, like, I love watching old TV shows and movies, and like, I think there's one with Tom Hanks where he's on the phone, and I don't remember what movie it is, but I just watched it recently. I think he's got it wrapped around his neck and walking halfway across into the kitchen room and hanging on. Mr. Mom, was it? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that was Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom.
Yeah, so Michael Keaton wasn't he on the phone in like Mr. Mom or something like that? I don't remember.
I think so. Yeah.
Probably every movie in the 80s, someone's on the phone with, carrying it around with the cord hanging off the bottom, and then they got it, this is funny.
Joe Drosten in the chat's asking, who puts a PBX in their home?
Me.
People who install PBXs, maybe.
Okay.
Manage them.
My buddy up the street has a PBX in his house. You have to dial 9 to get out, and there's an extension for each room, which is silly because you can just say, "Hey, what's your face?" Drop in on the kitchen.
Oh right.
You don't need extensions anymore. That's not very clever. Not with voice activation, right? Insane people. That's what Christopher said. Who has PBXs in their home? Insane people. That's who.
I thought the rich people had, those intercoms in every bedroom.
Yeah.
They have the little train tracks that go through with the train too between the rooms.
Oh my god!
All right, all right. This is the part of the show where we usually do a drum roll, and then we hit the gong, and then we do a fanfare. But I'm going to cut it short because it's not that happy. And then I'm going to say, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us, Dustin and Julie Myers.
Yay!
Thanks for having us.
Now, I'd like to get, I know you're probably super tired of talking about this because it happened on Saturday, but you obviously were robbed. Your arcade was robbed. Can you just give us a brief, for those who may not know in the chat or are listening live or are listening to this later, what happened last Saturday?
Well, we're not quite sure what happened on Saturday, but we were there Friday with our architects and our landlord. We're putting up 2 firewalls to protect the arcade in case of a fire on either side of our unit. And Monday morning, we were meeting with an engineer architect and our architect and our landlord again regarding the airflow units. And our landlord called us when we were about 5 minutes away, and he said he couldn't get into the unit with his key, and he had to get into the units on either side of us as well, and he couldn't get into those either.
Whoa.
So when we got there, we tried our key. Our key wasn't working, which of course was the same key as his. And we didn't know what to do. So we called the police, and the police came out. And from what our understanding is that there were some trucks in front of all the units, and somebody was moving all of the stuff out of all 3 units.
Whoa.
One of those units was ours, and the units on either side of ours. So there were witnesses that saw it, but they're still trying to figure out who these people are, where the trucks went. And the detectives are doing a really, really good job handling this case. And we're really grateful to the police department there.
So we mentioned earlier in the show that this is Rack It Up. This is the name of your arcade, right? And it was and Rack It Up is video games and pinball and billiards, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about the games that were in the establishment.
The games that we had pretty much were classics. All the classics you would find: Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Centipede, Robotron. We had a Space Invaders Deluxe.
Mr. Do.
We had a Mr. Do that we just got, and a Frogger that we just got as well, and a Phoenix. We got a Phoenix cocktail, and I had a Donkey Kong cocktail also. Asteroids we had. Galaga.
All the classics.
I mean, seriously, it's like the quintessential, it's Midway's and Atari's classic hits that you had all in there, right?
Sure.
Yep.
So that and then what pins did you have in there?
Thankfully, nothing in there yet.
Yeah, we didn't move them in at that point because we were talking to an insurance agent to get an appraisal on what we needed to, how much we needed to insure the place for the week prior. And he said he needed to come out. Well, due to the COVID crisis, the window of timing there, they weren't coming out to do appraisals and things like that. So unfortunately, nothing was insured.
All right, for you.
But fortunately, we didn't have any pinballs in there yet. We didn't, because because one pinball equals 5 video games in price, right? So
or more.
So or more. So chatters and listeners of the show, if you go to their Arcade Radio Facebook page, I copied Dustin's original post, which lists every game that was stolen. So keep your eyes out for those games. This arcade is in Canton, Ohio. I mentioned that earlier in the show. And it's in Stark County, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's being handled by probably Stark County Sheriff and the local law enforcement.
Yes.
Yeah. So and I don't know where they're at in the investigation, and I know that you've been in touch with them, and you just said they're doing a great job. And I hate to do this, but I'd like to ask you. My heart would sink. It's like a pit in my stomach just talking about it right now. What was your initial reaction when you walked into that empty room?
It was.
I broke down and cried.
I had so many emotions going through me. It's getting me right now just thinking about it. I haven't had any sleep. Nothing. I've been a train wreck because of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my whole life.
Yeah.
Right there. And I saw it. I turned around. I just walked. I just started walking because I couldn't handle it. It was just so devastating.
I probably would have used every expletive available to me, and then said, "What am I going to do?" I've had my car robbed a couple of times. That's a big difference. You still feel violated. Your stuff was taken.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine if somebody came into my arcade and took everything that I'd worked so hard on. And we talked before the show. These games are, you might come across them for what, 100, 300, 400. You might get one for free, but then you end up sinking money into them, right?
And time, a lot of time.
Yeah.
Hunting down parts and restoring cabinets, and it's taken us 15 years just to accumulate what we've had, we had, and he worked on each and every single one of them to restore them, and he put a lot of love into them. And the children are heartbroken because they've been playing those were their games in their basement that they played as toddlers all the way up, and they're like, wow.
Yeah.
So it's heartbreaking. It was like we lost part of the family when we lost those.
And as I understand it, you had just acquired the space prior to the COVID restrictions.
We acquired this space towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
in September, and it was we had to literally just tear things just apart because a lot of renovating. It was months and months and months of renovating, and then we found that we didn't have firewalls on either side, so we started the process of putting those up. With the contractors will be doing that because we just simply, I mean,
yeah,
the landlords are helping with that part.
It was the firewalls and then the HVAC system, and there was a bunch of things.
One thing after the next, next, we're turning it from a mercantile to an assembly, which that's a huge process for anybody out there that acquires a rental space, and you're planning on doing this. Make sure it's an assembly.
Sure.
Because once you're moving from changing they call it a conformancy, you're running into a bucket of nuts and bolts that it never ends. And then the space, I think, is zoned for 270 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the occupancy load is for 270 people. So then we had to get into the HVAC units and put in fresh airflow systems, just all kinds of stuff. And
wow. So
requirements. So before you get a place, make sure it's already an assembly.
And that's your responsibility, right? If you're going to be changing things.
Yes. Yes.
So that's a huge investment. So and so you have this investment. You've been working on it since September. You're probably ready for a soft opening, and then COVID hits.
Yes.
Yep.
And then you're like, okay, crap. So I guess we'll put stuff on hold. Here's the thing that gets me. What you just said was you were in there like between the times that the stuff was taken, right? Within days.
We were there Friday, and then we were there Monday.
Yeah, we were there just Friday.
Everything was there, and the landlord was playing the video games. He was playing Miss Pac-Man and having a great time, and just,
Now,
we're waiting for
our chatters have a bunch of questions and just some comments. I don't know if you're seeing them. Yoetti says there's some horrible people out there. I hope your games turn up. These are, you guys are the best. Also, just the shock. And they relocked the units with new locks. Creeps. I mean, like, first of all, they impersonated somebody.
They called the locksmith out, and they must have told a locksmith that they couldn't get into their units. So they rekeyed all the units in the shopping center at the end that we were at. So they had them all rekeyed, and that's why the landlord's key wasn't working.
Yeah.
Do they know who the locksmith was?
They're looking for them. They're
investigating it.
Now,
the detectives are taking care of that.
It's interesting to me too that this seems so elaborate. Like it's very well orchestrated, and it's like a bad episode of Cagney and Lacey. Like
it is, yeah.
Like trucks roll in and people are pretending to be somebody else, and the doorman's like, "Sure, come on in. There's the key." I mean, like, oh
yeah. I mean, we were shocked that, first of all, a locksmith would even do that without seeing a lease or some kind of credentials that you're the business owner, or, I mean, that's just, it shocks me to know that locksmiths just go out, pick open doors and change locks on people, or even for yourself. If I had a locksmith change my lock and not ask me for credentials, I would wonder, how do you know who I am?
Right.
Well, I don't have a key.
How big is the town?
What's that?
How big is the town you live in?
Where we live or where the store is?
Where the store is, Canton.
Well, we're in what they call a small area of Canton. Canton's very, very large.
Okay, so like a borough.
There's like sections of it. Like there's townships in it.
Sure.
So, but we're on a very, very busy street. Huge intersections. The traffic that goes by is unbelievable.
We have a Wendy's like right across
from us. Yeah, there's a Wendy's right there.
They would see our sign, which is really
all right.
Yeah, and then there's the only thing that's open in the shopping center right now is far on the other end, a tattoo shop. Right now, the shopping center is like a ghost town.
It's been pretty much a ghost town
since January.
Yeah, since January.
So, you know, and of course we saw Canton Music Center go up for rent, and we were like, oh, we want that place, and that's where we decided that's where we were going to have our store.
All right, so
tell us
go ahead, Brian.
About the just about the store. I mean, there's a space. So, how many square feet of a space were you opening up?
We had 5,000 square feet, and 3,700 of this is for the arcade itself, the front of the house for the machines and stuff, and the, you know, customers and things like that. And then the area in the back is, we're going to eventually remodel that into a full-on kitchen and things, but that's got to be, you know, later on down the road.
Sure. So, and how many machines total was it?
At that point, it was 18.
Yeah.
Okay, so not
18, and I had one empty cabinet that I was working on.
Yeah, and then we were planning on buying quite a few more
sure
to put in and to fill. And then we had some people that we were gonna do kind of a revenue share with on the pinballs and
sure
the bigger items until we can afford to get our own.
So if we just do 1,000 a machine, that's $18,000 worth of your inventory gone.
Yeah.
So
the crazy part about it was the Coca-Cola delivered their giant coolers. We're waiting for Pepsi and stuff before COVID, but there were sealed boxes inside the coolers with the shelves in them. And we never unpacked those yet. We didn't plug the cooler in because, of course, we didn't order our product yet. They took the boxes of shelves out of the Coke cooler and took those as well.
Jeez.
It's like, wow.
Some various tools, ladders. My dolly, I just bought a brand new appliance dolly. That's gone. Drills, my drill bag.
Yeah.
Extension
It's
cord.
crazy. It's crazy.
Mark, you're muted.
No.
He was breathing into the mic, so I turned him off.
Oh.
He was like, so I had to turn him off. All right, so here's two things I want to do before we.
What are our 8-liners, the gambling machines? Mark.
Yes.
Yeah, on either side of us, they had those gambling machines.
Yeah,
they
two
were
skill game rooms.
They were actually. There was 4 skill game rooms in the shopping center, and they were all rated in October, and then I think 2 of them opened back up, and then they got shut down in January. So we decided, we're putting a nice family-oriented establishment in there, and the landlord said that's all he wants in there is complimentary businesses.
Okay.
So no skill games, none of that.
Yep.
Because it's illegal in Ohio, it's our understanding. It's illegal in Ohio, and yeah.
Well, it's illegal in Minnesota. I know that. All right. Just 2 things I want to do before we continue on with the interview. Number 1 is I want to put your GoFundMe up so that people can help you out, because this is a pain in the ass at the very least, but it's also 18 machines that were you have personal investment in. It's like, Brian or Mark with all of the machines that we've worked on, and we have this dream to open up arcades, someday. And if we do that, we take our personal investments and things that we spent time with, and we put it in a place, and they're gone. So what's your GoFundMe, first of all? I just want to put it up in the chat.
Brandon knows.
Brandon. I think it's Rack It Up Retro Arcade.
Yeah. Rack It Up Retro Arcade.
And our dear friend Brandon Murphy was just an amazing human being. And
yep, I've got it. I'm putting it into the chat right now, and you can see some of the games, and some of the you can see some of the they left the art on the walls. They weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice that they left that.
And they left. Dustin had a 5-gallon drum that he made a Donkey Kong barrel out of. He spray painted it blue and put oil on it, the word oil, and they left that. That was nice that they left that.
Looks like all your games have CRTs in them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so each of these was about 300 pounds. This was a professional job. This is crazy. So anyway, if you're going to give any money to the show this week, or, if you've thought about giving money to the show, give it to this GoFundMe instead. And I want to pitch in some too at the end of the show. This is, I hope that you get your games back. First of all, I hope that they find them, but I worry about the speed at which they got them out. It must have been a lot of help in the middle of the night. And
it was in the middle of the day. It was at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God. That's what,
yeah. The girl at the vapor station said she was driving by when I talked to her, and that's like another shopping center down. She said she was driving by and she saw a bunch of trucks and people unloading all the units in there.
She thought that we were loading games into our arcade.
Yeah, she thought we were moving in.
Because she knew that we were going to open our arcade. She's been anticipating it. So that's what she didn't even think twice about it, because she thought that
10
people were
o'clock
loading
in the
games
morning
in.
on a Saturday.
But it was the opposite. They were taking
daylight.
them out.
Broad daylight.
Oh my God. It is an episode of Cagney and Lacey.
Yeah. Broad daylight. I guess they did it because in broad daylight it doesn't look sketchy.
Right. Yeah.
If you're doing it in broad daylight, who's going to ask any questions? Right in the front. They didn't unload them out of the back. Right out of the front, because there were like pieces of the machines in the parking lot, like little chunks of wood and the little 25-cent little piece that goes by the coin mech. I don't know what those are called, but yeah.
Yep. So, oh man. All right. So this kind of pisses me off. Like, all right. And I mean, it just, you can't dwell on it too long or you must get angry, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we do.
All right. So, yeah. Well, I just kind of want to yell like really loud. So, I might do that.
Eddie.
Did you guys have any other games that you did not have in the units that are like at home or in storage elsewhere, or was that everything?
No, that was it to start. We were just getting ready to start investing and getting games in there, and then we were going to, like I said, do a revenue share for the pinballs and things like that. A lot of it was going to be pinball and pool tables, and then we had a little bit of more money put back so that we can purchase a couple more games, and then just eventually phase them in.
So what was what's your day jobs now? What do you do for when you're not doing this? Or was this it?
Well,
mine was basically just sculpting, and I still sell masks. I still get orders for masks coming in, which does help out. But right now, currently, most of my time has been in that arcade. Our money, everything has been invested into that whole thing.
Lean in towards your wife so we can see your face a little more.
Oh, sorry.
Scooch together. Close up.
I'm not watching the camera, so I can't see the little picture of me.
Sorry, guys. Anyway,
so I've been doing that, and I've been an auditor for quite some time.
Okay.
And that ended in the end of February. Hopefully, I'll be able to get back to that after the COVID-19.
Okay.
All this has gone by, because my daughter and I are very high risk for it.
But
I had Legionnaire's disease last summer. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't be exposed to it. And then my daughter, she has narrowed airways, and she was born with those defects. So.
Well, I think there's a lot of people our age that are in that same boat. So we
don't want to take any chances.
I had to fill out a form for work actually to get an exemption because they want people to start coming back. But our team can work remotely, so it's not, anyway, that aside. So the point about that question was, this was sort of your nest egg. You were actually investing. This was going to be your business together.
This is what we were going to retire doing. We were going to retire and
doing something you like doing.
Try to retire.
Yeah.
But put our 12 hours a day, 13 hours a day in, and this is what we wanted to do for the rest of our lives. It was been a boyhood dream since he was 9 years old. Yeah. So we finally decided, hey, I'm 50. He's going to be 50. It's time to make a move. and live out our dream.
So go ahead, Mark.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
I was going to say, and I mean, like a lot of times when you're starting a business, it's not something that it's either all in or all out.
Yeah.
And so you guys are putting everything you have in, putting all your time in, putting your money in. Yeah. And it's, I mean, like setbacks, like, oh, you need firewalls. Oh, COVID hits. And these are all things that are like one thing after another. And then your arcade disappears. It's, I mean, that's, salt on open wounds. And that's terrible.
It is.
So, I mean, we had actually a trailer stolen a couple of times from our shop, but the last time had a substantial amount of equipment in it. And ironically, before the police even found it, Nextdoor found it. So like the Nextdoor apps and like the Ring Circle thing, they basically said, hey, my camera did this. So I don't know if you guys have done that or if the police do that, but you should post to the Nextdoor and Ring apps. We signed up and did it, and they actually found our trailer in like 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. Ironically, before we could get it, the police towed it, impounded it, ticketed it, and charged us for leaving it in an alley. But that's a whole other story. Luckily, we got everything back. So
yeah, here's hoping that happens for you guys too.
I mean, I know that the detectives are they're really onto some things, and
awesome.
I'm just putting all my faith in them.
Yeah. Plus, it also helps that trucks have the GPS.
Yeah, Penske trucks have GPSs. I'm sure for locator devices, I'm sure they have to have those.
Something.
So that's gonna whoever rented them.
So Dustin, what has been your? I think we talked about this a little bit before the show, but what has been the biggest surprise to you from the arcade community regarding this whole mess?
Oh, just the responses of it I've been getting. It's been the arcade. It's been a big chunk of it's been the arcade community. I've just private messages, everything. Just supportiveness has just been amazing. It's been that. It's also been
fast everybody moves.
Yeah. It's been really awesome.
I mean, everybody moves so quick. We found out about it on Monday and we knew it happened on Saturday from what witnesses said. So there was kind of a lost 2 days there. We found out Monday, Dustin posted it on his Facebook, and thousands and thousands of responses from the arcade community. Just, everybody's just looking and being supportive, and they're amazing. I can't express my gratitude enough.
I've reached out to a couple of people like Todd Tucky, John Jamshed. Actually, I've talked to them with messaging about, if they see the games or whatever. So I'm trying to do what I can within the network, hopefully, because those are, you just don't make those games disappear. I mean,
right.
If they're going to do it, it's one chunk. They're not going to piecemeal those games out. You know what I mean? Yeah. At least I don't think they will.
Have you reached out to Doc Mack too?
No.
In Chicago? Yeah. So after the show, we should probably give you a few names to hit up. But Doc Mack, Galloping Ghost Arcade, the world's largest classic arcade in Chicago. Just give him a shout. I mean, he loves to give business advice too. So if you ever have questions about what you want to do, he's a good guy. Anyway, let's get to some questions that are not related to the robbery. How about that? Does that sound good? And we'll just throw the GoFundMe up at the end of the show again. And you guys keep them in mind. And keep your eyes peeled, especially if you're in the Ohio area or the surrounding states. Because we don't know where they're going to go, if these are on their way to Las Vegas or what. But, they could go anywhere if they're on trucks, right? So that's the thing that sucks. So we feel for you. I'm glad you're on the show, and I'm glad you're talking about it. But let's have a little bit more fun. I'd like to talk, first of all, about Dustin's guitar playing and sculpting. You're a pretty accomplished guitar player.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been at it for a long time.
Are you in a band?
Many years.
Are you in a band?
I'm not in a band now. I've been in many bands, throughout the years. pretty much mainly metal,
Yep.
heavy metal stuff. So,
What do you like? Is that the thing you like to play the most?
oh, absolutely.
What are some of your?
We were lucky.
Metal was my thing.
What are some of your favorite bands, if I might?
Oh, King Diamond is easily my number one band.
Cool.
I love everything about the band, the theatrics, just it's all concept stories, which are horror stories basically. And the guitar playing is just out of this world. Andy LaRock is my guitar idol.
Awesome.
He's really awesome.
On the guitar idol theme, do you have any arcade idols or heroes?
Arcade heroes.
Like anybody who inspired you or friends?
Friends, yeah. I mean, I worked with one, in fact, and his name is Mark Shields. He was just one of the most amazing human beings ever, and he was just an amazing arcade game player too. He had records on Frogger, Rally X, New Rally X, but he also had it on, I think it was Mr. Dew's Wild Ride and Birdie King, I think it was Birdie King 2.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and and actually in the arcade we had a Frogger.
We just bought it.
Yeah, we just got the Frogger. And from work way back in the day, I think it was from 2009, I think it was, but it was from Twin Galaxies, and he was at Fun Spot playing. It was I think he was playing Rally X. I think that was the game that he was playing. But anyways, it was pictured, and it showed like the new high scores and stuff like that down the side. Well, Mark had signed it to all my adoring fans, Rally X World Champion Mark Shields, and I had it framed. And what I was going to do, this is like kind of an emotional thing. I'm sorry. Because
it's okay. It's okay.
I was going to have the Frogger and the Rally X, and then that above it.
That'd
because,
be cool.
He passed away, and he's missed.
Yeah.
He's
a young guy. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Mark. You've got big shoes to fill tonight, buddy.
Yeah.
My Mark Shield.
It's funny. I was looking for some Mark Shields photos. When Mark is threatening to not be on the show, I like to put up a picture, that says Mark will be back. And I found this guy that did poetry. His name is Mark Shields. He's like a heavy set guy in his 60s. And I just, anyway, I know there's more than one Mark Shields, but there's only one Mark Shields for you guys. And, so thanks for sharing that story. So besides guitar, you're a sculptor. That's pretty cool. Now, I can just imagine you, a 15-year-old kid, walking into the comic store, walking in, looking at the Fangora magazine, pulling that thing out. So is that where it started? When did you start liking creature masks?
Wow, this is an interesting story also.
Okay.
I really didn't know I could sculpt very well at all. And we had some super sculpty. It's this clay that you can bake. It's a polymer clay that you can bake in the oven. Anyway, so my dad was having this boar roast kind of thing at the house. And I sculpted this really mutated pig head just to be, funny. And I sculpted it. I had it on a jar, and I set it on the table in the middle of the food and everything. And everybody looked at it, and they're like, that is really good. And my dad was even like, I think you missed your calling in life. And I'm like, really? I didn't think it was that good, personally. I didn't really think it was that great of a thing. Well, that turned out, after that, my dad actually welded up this armature out of chicken coop wire. And he made a skeletal thing of a gargoyle, basically like a griffin kind of
Sure.
thing. And he wanted me to sculpt that on top of that and make him statues for outside for the front of the house. So we were doing some research on where to get clay. And there was a place that we found, and it was in Lakewood, Ohio. And we got there, and the name of the place was called Monster Makers. And they sold big things of oil-based clays and stuff. So we got that. And when we walked in, I saw all this cool monster stuff. And I was just blown away by it. That day, I ended up getting clay for his gargoyles and also a mask making set. So I can start sculpting masks. making Halloween masks. So I sculpted the gargoyle for him, and I sculpted my very first Halloween mask. And I got contacted by the Hudson Haunted House because one of my friends saw that mask. Contacted by Hudson Haunted House, and they wanted to meet with me. So I went into the Hudson Haunted House and basically did a whole room for them. And they had the old Don Post Studios skull masks. I had to repaint them because they weren't glowing very well. And at the same time, I sculpted a new skull mask for them. It was really cool. So you walk in, and it's completely pitch black. And there's all these skulls just suspended in midair. So there was actors in there also with skull masks on. That was the gimmick with it. So you'd walk through and you see these floating heads, and then the actors would jump out at you with the mask. And that's pretty much how I got started in the mask making. I know it's a long-winded story.
No, this is good. I love it.
Yeah. And and then from there, basically, I just kept going with it. And then I sculpted, I think it was a vampire next. And I can't even remember. There's been quite a few pieces, of course. And each one got better and better. And I just started selling them.
Do you have a Facebook page just for the masks?
I do. Yeah. It is on my Facebook. It's Myers Effects.
Myers FX?
Myers FX.
Myers FX on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay.
I see an Etsy store. Is that you as well?
Yeah, I really don't do anything in Etsy right now. I actually want to.
That was a few years
ago.
Yeah,
that was a while back.
A long time ago.
I
forgot to take that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still got 3 masks over there.
I know.
Yeah, so
everyone just contacts him on his Facebook, and because it's even on his regular page, Dustin Myers, as well. So they see it. Things his pieces progress.
Yeah, there's like cool. I was looking at some of it, and by the way, I am not a fan of the horror genre, so these things scare the shit out of me.
Oh my!
Some of them are really cool.
Good.
Yeah, I love that green guy. So, yeah, have you thought of like, or have you done any work for the movies or anything for?
Not so much with film. No, I really haven't had an opportunity to do so. I am a student of Dick Smith, which is the godfather of special makeup effects.
Yeah.
Took his course and everything. With the hopes of being a makeup artist. And really, it didn't go much farther than me sculpting and making masks. So which I was fine with that.
That's really cool. Like, I want to like send you your stuff to like, Disney and.
Oh, thank you.
all the big studios and say, hey, this guy can do stuff. You got to hire him. It's cool. So, and they'd be like, who's this nerd from, what is your show called anyway? But anyway, so that's really awesome. How did the gargoyles turn out for Dad?
Funny story of that. They never actually got cast and finished because we didn't know how to back then.
Sure.
It was this great idea to make this thing, but figuring out how to do it because it was such a big thing. You would have to cast it in like silicone, which I know now,
sure,
but I didn't know how to do that at the time. But you would do silicone, and you would do like a fiberglass jacket to sustain the silicone. You need a hard jacket on the outside,
yeah,
and then you would do a resin casting or something. He wanted to do it in concrete, and I'm just like. We were completely lost on it. Yeah, I was brand new.
That's great.
And nobody taught him. He never took a class, and he just
kind of powered through it. There was
learned it himself.
Yeah. There was a forum called back then. It was the Monster Lab, and it was ran by Christian Hansen, and I learned a whole lot because of that. And they were really cool, supportive.
You're like the Bob Ross of Halloween mask making.
Oh man, thank you.
You should have a studio and then teach people how to do it. And then you could put, like, I went to the Bob Ross Museum in Florida, in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. And it's basically his gallery, and his friends teach his method. So he's got, and his son, and so they still paint Bob Ross paintings there, but all of his original paintings are up on the wall. You should do that. You could have a little tiny studio. You could teach people how to make masks and have all your work up on the walls, and then you could do like a PBS thing, and you could just be like, and here we're gonna put a couple little fluffy little warts on his nose.
Actually, how long is it between conception and then you have a finished product for the mask? Is that?
Oh, that varies. That some of them go real quick. I sculpted an alien one time, and that took me about 3 days to do it. A lot of my stuff, though, I'm really weird with it. I'll have it like 90% done, and then look at it and hate it.
Sure.
So then I'll start tearing things apart, trying to be perfectionist with it. So a lot of times it'll take me, 6 months to do a mask sculpture because I'm so like anal with it. It's just like everything has got to be just because once you mold it in stone, it's done. You can't change it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I'm pouring copies of that in latex and making masks, and then you look at it. You have to look at your work and just be like, man, why didn't I do that? So it takes a while. Sometimes they're fast, but most generally not so much.
So do you have like Adam's Family, Pinball, Monster Bash, and all that stuff? What do you have for?
We don't.
You got to get those. You got to get those.
That was pretty much going to be like the
revenue
share.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford to get the pins at this point. They're so expensive, as you guys know.
We didn't realize how much money it was going to be to renovate the building that we're in.
Yeah.
We thought we could just move in, tear the slat wall off the walls, paint the walls, and call it a day. Let's open the doors.
No.
But we
There's
literally
things like handicap bathrooms.
We had to put in extra bathrooms, handicap. We had to redo all the floors in the back. Just everything. It was. Yeah. We had no idea what we were going to do.
Constantly something new.
So we decided, well, we'll get the games later and keep working on this building that we've been renovating. And, it was one thing right after the next. And
so one of my
finally we're at the point where it's almost ready to go, and the firewalls are going to go up on the other sides of our walls. So we don't have to put them over the walls we just did. So they'll go on other units, and that's why the landlord had to get into those other units with our contractor and the architect, was to determine how they were going to build those 2-hour rated walls so that would be in the units on the other side of the wall instead of our inside our unit.
So let me ask you a question back to the arcade. Has this whole thing, it sounds like they had problems there before. There's a big rainbow outside. Holy crap. It's a double rainbow.
Are you sure?
Oh my God. It's going to make me cry. Anyway, so, anyway, I'm just really, has this whole experience turned you off to the location?
I think after each hurdle we kept going over, it just made us more determined. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And we just kept saying, we're going to do this. And there were times where...
it definitely came, past our mind. I mean, it was just like, how much money are we going to dump into this building, to get it ready for the arcade? It's a rental,
Yeah.
But being that it was a mercantile, changing it to the assembly, it's just, we didn't even know. We didn't even know exactly what we were delving into. But we were so deep with the investing already, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it's like, we can't stop now. We have to continue with it.
Yeah.
And now you're in a situation where you don't have your arcades.
Now
so
the games are gone. It's been one thing after the other.
So there's clearly no insurance on the whole mess yet because of this. No. So that's why the GoFundMe's up.
The agent couldn't make it out during the COVID crisis. Right. To appraise what we did and what we had because of the
that's really messed things up everywhere. Go ahead, Mark.
Have you checked with your homeowner's insurance, because there is off-premises insurance, sometimes up to $10,000. Yes, like I've had stuff taken from storage, and it just has to be off. It's like when your car gets robbed. your homeowner's insurance has sometimes policies. So I would definitely go and check with your homeowner's insurance. To
Well,
see
we have renter's insurance at home, but
it's just at home.
It's just for home. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some addendum in there we can
check that out, because sometimes the policy has something for stuff that you're keeping off-site. So renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, sometimes they have clauses. I would definitely go look into that.
Well,
it depends on whether it is something that's considered, like, it's not hard to argue that an arcade game is not like something you just port around or leave places. And so they tend to cover things like if you had furniture that was in a storage unit or something, they'll say, yeah, that's a home use item. In some of the policies, there's some policies that are written to just, they're not there to make you money.
Yeah.
But it's worth a shot. And actually, I'm going to look at my policy and see if I can get some things covered that I do.
I do, because I have a lot of stuff in storage. Like the same anxiety that I'm sure a lot of people have when they have stuff that they own someplace else. I mean, you never know. The same thing can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't looked at my
unit
unit
in
in a long
broad
time.
daylight, and people saw it happening. That's just what
blows me away.
Why I want to smash my head against the wall. It's like people saw this happening.
All right, now I have a personal question, Julie. How'd you meet this gentleman?
Oh,
I was his dad's accountant.
Oh wow!
And his dad ran his own business out of the house, and he worked for his dad. And so I would go to the house and I would do a lot of work there because that's where all the files were. And and there's this dude sculpting out in the garage. He didn't say much. He was a very quiet, just very non-social individual. And a couple times we would have dinner over there, my daughter and I, and he'd sit across the table, and and then just, I don't know what happened. One day we looked at each other across the table at dinner, and we're like, dude, yeah. And from that moment on, it's been like 17 years.
Wow.
Nice.
Congratulations, you guys.
Wow.
It was just one of those things, you know what I mean? We weren't expecting it, neither one of us. And
that's good.
It was just, we never paid any mind to each other until one moment we were eating dinner at his dad's table.
And
I
you're like,
literally remember it was
that this could work.
Adidas on it. I literally remember that from that long ago. I looked at this guy and I'm like, whoa.
So, Julie, are you a rocker too?
I used to be. And
yeah.
When I was in high school, I was in a band.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
yeah.
What
all-girl band. Girly Legal.
The Go-Go's.
I played with the guitar and keyboards.
All right. You guys should start up a family band.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually everybody does play.
Yeah, everyone does play. And my son started playing drums. Back in January, we bought him an Alesis drum kit. And he's in his bedroom, and he's amazing. And he just picked it up and ran with it. And we're like, whoa, dude, we're going to get you some lessons. So, and Dustin was in there with his guitar. And I looked at my oldest daughter. I said, yeah, it's called the Corner Bedroom Band. Because my son was in the corner. I'm like, yeah, Corner Bedroom Band over there. When she came home from school, it was funny.
That's great.
It was very funny.
I mean, I could play a few licks on the guitar and a few things on the piano, but I'm not anywhere as accomplished as either of you probably are. So that's kind of fun, though. So you're a very creative family, very artistic.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And you have like
child. She just picked up a guitar one day and started playing, and never touched it before. Just started playing one of her dad's electric guitars. Our 14-year-old. We're like, what?
Sweet child of
mine. Yeah, sweet child of mine. We're like, well, where's that coming from? What's that? And it turned out that she self-taught herself guitar. It was really cool.
Nice. Wow.
All right, so we're getting to the end of the hour here, but I want to reach out to Mark and Brian and see if they have any more questions for you, as well as the audience. Otherwise, I'd like to get some final thoughts.
So I want to give go ahead.
No,
you go.
No, you go.
The doctor first. Go for it.
Doctor?
So I wanted to give the people listening, and so you had this loss, and I don't want to dwell on that. Kind of want to look forward. And so obviously getting your games back is important, but if people are sitting on games or have things they're looking to sell or have things, what are you guys looking, what would be the next games you guys would look for? Because obviously you're going to try and overcome this. Like, what's something you guys would be interested in?
The classics that we lost, of course. I mean, but nothing's going to replace the ones that we had because we had such an emotional attachment.
Yeah, but I mean, like, are you asking like what we would get in addition to it?
Above and beyond that, like what would be the next? Because you guys said you were about to buy some more games.
Yeah, let's just assume that you're going to get back your games, which may or may not happen. But you have a list of classics that you had already collected. What was next on the list?
Mappy, Burger Time, Rally X.
Yeah, we wanted Mappy, Rally X,
Burger
obviously
Time.
Rally X, Burger Time,
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, well, Hubert.
Definitely. That was my favorite when I was a kid.
I don't know. Some of the fighting games.
Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
Street Fighter,
Teenage
Mutant Ninja Turtles. That kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Rampage.
those were all going to be our next purchases.
Yeah.
Did you like Rampage and some of those games too, or like were you like thinking like more 3-player, like X-Men or what? Or
the X-Men games.
What was that shooting game that
even
we were going to buy?
Gauntlet's another one.
Gauntlet.
Oh yeah,
I used to
love the Gauntlet.
Area 51. That's the one that.
Yeah, Area 51.
Yeah, Area 51. Yeah, we had a list we made out of what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next. So yeah, it just now we don't know what's next. No.
Right.
Yeah, Missile Fan.
Have you guys ever been interested in an exterminator cabinet? This is so I had to ask. Mr. Peabody asked.
You did.
I'm gonna check him.
I have an exterminator about 10 yards that way. It's this old game that Adam loves. So if you ever find one and you want to do Adam a huge favor, get it to him.
Yeah.
You'll be on his Christmas card list for life.
Forever.
Yeah, my favorite game was Hubert.
That's an awesome game.
Mr. Peabody asked. Mine's Hubert and Dig Dug.
Dig
It
Dug.
was Centipede, and this is a funny story. Not a funny, it's a sad story. When I was a kid, I played Centipede all the time, and Dustin built me my own Centipede in the basement, 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while ago.
Yeah, and it's gone now.
That was among the games.
My mommy's game gone. It's just
Well, is there something like, and I guess we should ask this offline, but each game has something that is unique to it. Like there's some tags on it and some things like that. Like
yes, they all do.
That unique list of things, like, is that available somewhere for us to look at so that we know, hey, if you see the Centipede?
Yeah, I mean, I have pictures of them.
We could put a list together.
I could put a list, and I can actually put some, distinguishing marks or whatever that are on the games that would separate it. Like a Pac-Man could be a Pac-Man, but I know there's certain things on mine that might not be on.
Like the light bulbs that we put in.
Yeah, light bulbs.
Behind the marquee. Just there's a new part that he bought to put into him.
Put on.
So if there's a game that's found and it has a new coin door or something that he knows that he did on that game, a new board or how most of were pretty gross inside when we got them.
They always 90% of the time they are. One thing that this might make me do is actually tag my games somewhere indiscreet inside.
You know what? The detective. Everybody kept asking us, what are the serial numbers on the games? And we were like,
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
a lot of them, we were just bringing them right to the arcade as we were purchasing. You know what I mean? They were just dropped off, and I don't know.
So a word of advice, record all your serial numbers for your games, because that's the first thing they're going to ask you.
Yeah. And actually, I've had my insurance guy say, walk through with a video camera, you know, make sure you video everything, you know, just so that there's a record. Because
that's what's saving us on this. We have videos, we have pictures, updates every week on our Rack It Up website. You know, when we get a new game, we post that. So there's kind of a timeline already there.
Well, you obviously have learned more than you've wanted to about both running a business, opening a business in a certain location, and how to handle a robbery, which you didn't have to do until last weekend. So these are learning experiences you don't want right now.
Yeah.
And again, the GoFundMe is in the chat. I would like you guys just to give us your final thoughts. And again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. And after the outro, stick around with us and we'll have a little wind down with you when we officially shut down. So your final thoughts about what's been going on and any advice for people.
Dustin, what's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts, I just, you know, I'm just thrilled that everyone has come together and like have been supportive, you know, with our situation, and it's just been overwhelming. Seriously, I mean, we're both tired, really. I mean, this has been an exhausting thing for us. I mean, just it's, you know, we just want our games back. You know, we want the games back, and you know, I feel more confident, you know, that you know we're gonna get them, just because of you know, the detectives on it.
The arcade community.
The arcade community.
Everybody's looking for us. They're keeping their eyes out for us. And you can't just, it's not like you can just unload a game like that and not have it recognized, especially when there's so many people looking for, you know, for on our behalf. I would say that most likely they'll either get rid of them in bulk and try to sell it to one of you guys somewhere out there, you know, or they'll try to open their own arcade, one or the other. So either which way, those aren't easy to get rid of. I mean, you can't just hide those. It's, you know, so we're keeping our fingers crossed, we're praying. You know, I mean, there's people that have doubts that this even happened. And we've gotten quite a few comments on Facebook, and they can think what they want. They have that right. But I mean, you know,
just ignore the trolls and block them. That's what I say.
You know, it bothered us in the beginning.
We know what happened. Okay.
Yeah, we know what happened.
We're the ones suffering through it. It's our loss.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they can say what they want, and I understand some of it. When you read it, it sounds really freaking out there. Okay, it does, and I know it does.
Yeah, but we're fortunate that people saw these trucks unloading the units. I mean, there's tons of witnesses.
Well, the other thing that I find interesting about a situation like this is that you have the people that have the outpouring of support, and I believe that's most of the arcade community, and we're here for you, and we want to help you out. But I also find it annoying that there's the one guy, or you know, on the forum or somewhere who is like, well, did you lock your doors? Well, did you do this? Well, did you do that? And everyone has, you know, in certain situations, they want to give you advice about how you should have handled it. And luckily, I think you're not getting that for the most part. Yeah.
You know what my grandmother used to say? She said, wait, what is that? If my grandmother had balls, he would have been my grandfather. Something like that. And that's what that should have, would have. If my grandmother would have had balls, she would have been my grandfather. So it's kind of that thing, should have, would have, but you know what? It's what it is. You know, I think that's how it goes. I don't know. Somebody out there probably.
Well, I don't know, but it's funny either way. It's in a good way to end the show.
Right. It's Captain Hindsight. That's the South Park character, I think, that you keep getting. Those guys.
Yeah.
All right.
But we do appreciate their advice and their comments, and
Yeah.
We really appreciate anyone who has even responded.
Yeah, we appreciate you putting us on the show also.
Yeah.
I mean, this has reached a lot of people, but this is going to reach a lot more now too. And we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll make sure to get the blog, or we'll make sure to get the podcast updated in the next 2 days so that this gets out to the rest of the listeners that subscribe to it that way as well. But for now, I think we're going to wrap up the show. And this has been the Double R's. That's Arcade Radio, guys. Thanks for listening in. And I guess that's our cue.
I like it when he talks and he's muted. It's pretty cool. Do not know. Here he goes.
I got it. Like us at Facebook at Arcade Radio, and check out our semi-neverly updated blog at Arcade Radio. That's RcadeRadio.com.
Leave comments and questions on the game line. 625-8-GAME. That's 463.
I don't know what he just said, but that's awesome. Do you like this show? Become an arcade cadet and support the show by subscribing to our Patreon campaign. Or instead of doing that tonight, why don't you go to that GoFundMe page for Dustin and Julie, and let's get them a little bit of money back on their arcade.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click the notification bell, which is somewhere down there, so you'll know when we're streaming live.
You can also subscribe to our podcast on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play Music, and wherever podcasts are streamed.
All right, well, that's going to be it for the show from Arcade Radio. We hope you had a great time, and we'll see you next week for the 100th episode.